You know that Zoram Mamdani has been out of town. He went to his compound in Uganda to get married and generally have a good time outside of the United States. His family owns a compound there. I have a serious problem with that. We'll continue to delve into my problems and his compounds over the course of time. But back in the United States, freshly on American soil, he was holding a press conference and he decided to share and defend his previous calls to disband something called the NYPD Strategic Response Group. Now, NYPD's Strategic Response Group, that's your SWAT team that responds to an active shooter, a terror attack, a major threat, something that's unusual. So we're not talking about petty crime. But lately, because the protesters have become so violent and so criminally organized, the NYPD Strategic Response Group has responded to violence that has happened at protests. And that's where Mamdani comes in. Here he is giving a Kamala Harris style word salad in response to a question about whether or not he still supports defunding that particular part of NYPD.
And the vision that we've put forward in this campaign, despite what others may say, is not to defund the police. It is, in fact, to allow those officers to respond to these serious crimes that many of them signed up to address, and to do so by ensuring that we ask them to focus on those crimes, and we ask mental health professionals to respond to calls of mental health crises. And as it pertains to the Strategic Response Group, when it was first formed, there was an intention for its use to be more akin to the manner in which it was deployed earlier this week. What we have found, however, is the city has come to rely upon the Strategic Response Group as its primary means of response to acts of protests across the city when New Yorkers exercise their First Amendment rights. And that decision in asking the members of that unit to respond to protests, as opposed to what was the stated reason, is a decision that has led to the violation of a number of New Yorkers' civil rights.
So thank you, Mr. Word Salad, for saying absolutely nothing about what you were asked. You are trying to explain away the fact that violence happens at the protests that you support. So you support the violent protests. You don't support the NYPD having a special response team that is available to respond strictly to the ever increasing number of attacks that involve mass shootings, terror threats, etc. So when someone is being kicked down the stairs on a subway and the officers are responding to that, they're not able to respond to the acts of mass shooting that's exactly what happened earlier this week. Gotcha. And also notice how he doesn't say, I recant my previous statements wherein I called for the defunding of the police, because that's what I'm looking for. And why am I so gung-ho about this? I live in Missouri. Because his nonsense, if it's allowed to go on there in New York, will then spread out across the country and it will eventually gain tsunami type force and land on me like a ton of bricks right here in Missouri. And I'm sick of it. We already had years of a Soros prosecutor here in Missouri, the heart of red country. So no thanks, Mamdani. Your answer just didn't cut the mustard.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.